site project. This is the Doug.Show live here on YouTube, and let me know if you could hear me. I've made a couple very small adjustments in here in the room, mainly with the camera and the height, a couple little details. So this is the monitor right here, you'll see that. So when I'm looking down, I'm looking at the chat over there, hopefully where you're saying, yeah, Doug, we can hear you. I realized that I forgot to bring water in here, which is unfortunate. Usually I do like to take a sip of water from time to time. Sometimes I'll have tea, but funny enough, I did bring, we're going to talk about it more, but I did bring beer in here today. So it's unopened right now. What we have is a New Belgium Honey Orange Triple, which I'll go on and on about later. And I have a nice glass here that I will also talk about later. Hopefully what we'll be able to do is cover a few topics. I actually downloaded a few nice clips that have not aired yet anywhere in their clip form. So we'll be able to take a little break and do those. We have Abhishek, we got Helen, Bonnie, Best Skateboards, Justin, what's going on, and David, people can hear me, which is fantastic. So yeah, one thing with the office, which I haven't done a proper tour, I watch the tours of other people's offices and I find them interesting, but I haven't done one of my own just because I'm like, does anyone want to see like my mess in here? But let me know in the chat or the comments if you do want to see what's going on. Because I have the bookshelf and some plants. I rotate the plants out, and unfortunately, one of the plants died while I was gone. A little mishap with watering. I'm actually pretty good with plants overall, but while we were out of town, they had a little bit of a rough time out there in here, and basically one dried up. So also I got some fun comments about there used to be a plant like this one over here on the other side. That's one of the ones that died. And it looked funny because it looked like it was weird hair coming off the top of my head or something like that. But anyway, if you want to see such an office tour, then let me know. It's something I have been thinking about because I really like it in here. In fact, I haven't been going to the co-working space with the, quarantining going on, except for happy hours. And then it's so comfortable to work in here. It's a standing desk. So for these live streams, I can just walk around. I can, change my environment very easily. Plus, like Georgie's in here hanging out with me. I need to have like a Georgie cam that's like under the desk showing her laying and hanging out. So, all right. Let's see. A couple of the topics we're going to hit today. Just want to let people know right off the bat. So number one, we always talk about keyword research just because that's some of the most common questions. I will talk about Site Growth Plan, which is my new course. It's on like launch week special. So you could save $100 or $150 depending on which package you get. There's a link in the description, and here's why I brought the beer. So I hope someone is going to buy the course while we are doing this now during the live stream, and then I'll crack it open. I have a bottle opener ready, and I would sure love to congratulate someone in buying the course by cracking open the beer. So we'll see how it goes. I usually don't do any sort of thing like this because it could fail. I mean, I have a modest yet very dedicated audience here, but I'm not a huge person. So there's only 12 people on right now, which I'm not sure why there's so few people on, but there's only 12, and I appreciate every one of you. But the thing is, other people have live streams. Like I was on Alex's WP Eagle, his live stream this week. There were like over 100 for basically the whole time. And of course, he has a much bigger channel, has a more, we have a lot of overlap, but he just has more people that follow him. And apparently his live streams are much better for whatever reason. They're good. I like them. I'm glad he invited me on there. So anyway, Site Growth Plan, check it out. I'll talk a little bit more about it. probably you've seen a little bit of information about it if you're watching this, if you're part of the live stream and all that. So, and we'll answer questions, and that segment is brought to you by Niche Website Builders. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Before we get into the big stuff, I do want to mention Ezoic and their Site Speed Accelerator. So if you're struggling with your site loading slowly, Site Speed Accelerator is a standalone tool that you can check out and use. They guarantee an 80 or higher for the Google PageSpeed Insight score. Here's the thing though, before you try to optimize your load speed or put in any plugin at all, or use the Site Speed Accelerator, try to fix things up on your own beforehand. So make sure your images aren't too huge, make sure they're the right resolution. Images are probably one of the biggest issues that people have. And you could compress them, resize them, and a lot of times you'll find that instead of a 200K image, you'll have it's like 30K. Like, it doesn't need to be that huge. So anyway, make sure your site is loading as quickly as it can before you try and optimize it, and then you'll get much better results. Additionally, one other tip is your traffic levels make a difference. I was coaching someone actually who purchased Site Growth Plan, and they got the one-on-one coaching. I've already met with him, and basically his site was growing at a rate where I was like, you're probably going to need to upgrade your hosting plan, because you're probably on the edge of where it's going to load in an effective amount of time or a efficient amount of time. So anyway, just make sure your site's loading well. And thanks to Ezoic for underwriting some of this show. So we have Bo on. What's up? Let me hop back on the chat here and just say hello to everyone. Bonnie, of course, Aman, Gaurav, what's up? And Gaurav is actually going to be on this channel on Monday. So that's when his success story is coming out. So that'll be on Monday and over on the podcast as well. We have Stanford, what's up? We have MD, Ahrefs, all right. And okay, so right off the bat, I have a question. Like, people are saying KG is not working anymore. Is it right? No, I think it is working just fine. I'm not sure. There's always been people that say that the KGR doesn't work. But as far as I could tell, it seems to be working. Bonnie says a tour of the office would be good. Bo, of course, was on the channel this week for his success story interview. He took his site from about $1,200 a month to over, I think you're over 4,000 in August, maybe even more at this point. So congrats, Bo. Be sure to check out his interview if you haven't already. David said you would like the tour as well, and you're setting up a new studio in an office, and you're looking for inspiration. Okay, so one thing is I like this sort of layout where the window's behind me. There's French doors over there, so it's like a proper office. There's no closet in here, so I face the doors. So it's a nice way to sit, so people can't sneak up behind you or something like that. However, it's an internal room, and the window is right here. So I have this bright ass window behind me, and I struggle with the webcam. So the webcam, it's really, even if I adjust the settings and the brightness, it's really hard to get the right brightness levels. Now, over on the good old DSLR, which hopefully we can just move over here. Can we do this? Over on the DSLR over here, I have a lot more flexibility with the settings, and it just looks better. Now that I'm looking at it, it just looks better. And again, there's way more flexibility. I can zoom in a little bit. I can zoom out. I can change the aperture, all that stuff. So that's one thing I struggle with, David, is basically I want this to be the layout, but I have the bright window behind me. So I can take care of it by essentially closing up the curtains or covering them up completely, and then the brightness works itself out, but a lot of times it's a little bit off. So, Oh, Arthur's on, who is a lurker. And let's see. Kashif says, I'm looking more fresh. Thank you. Appreciate that. Always trying to look fresh. Yeah. And we have Kowalski, what's up? Watching from Europe. Some people are up in the middle of the night. I saw someone said it was like 12:34 in India. People are just hanging out. We got Olivia from London, what's up? We got Sahid. Okay, we got some more people jumping in. Oh, Maria says, how can I join your course? Thank you for asking. There's a link in the description, all right? There's a link in the description, and basically you can get a lot more details there. I'll probably go over a couple things here, but essentially for this course, Site Growth Plan, it's meant for people that have a site already and you've plateaued, you've sort of stalled out, and you want to grow your site. It fits well for people that have also just purchased a site too. And what the course does, it takes you through it takes you through assessing where your site is now, where the gaps are, and it helps you understand what you need to work on. Because that's one of the hard parts, right? If you go watch my channel, you'll see, 500 videos on keyword research, and you'll have, a bunch of videos on content and a lot of other topics. And basically you don't know what to work on, and you may work on a little bit here and there, but then you don't make much progress in any one area. So that's the big issue. So Maria, you could follow the link, get a little more details. If you have questions, you could hop on the chat here, of course. And a couple other people were asking questions, which I will come back to. I will definitely come back to the questions during the Q&A segment, but I do want to give an update. So Bo says it just went over 5,500 and it should have hit 6,000 this month in August, which is super cool. So Bo, definitely keep us up to date. Means on as well. Arthur, what brought you out? You said you're a lurker. I'm curious, why did you come out? Why are you hanging? So it'll be awesome. Okay. Nusrat says, I want to join with $100. Give me a link, please. All right. So that's not really how it works, but you could follow the link in the description and you'll be able to get more information. So it's more than $100. I could tell you that. So Maria, there's a link in the description, but here's the thing that I am discovering is a lot of people, YouTube, a lot of people just watch on mobile. I primarily watch on mobile myself. And I'll put a link in the description here. Oh, that's not working. So the problem is when you're looking at a video on your phone and it's a live stream and you're doing the chat, it's very hard to get over to the actual description. So I'm going to try to put it in the chat, and you may be able to follow that link. Hopefully it won't crash crash your app or anything like that. So see if that works for you. Let me know. If not, you can just go to nichesiteproject.com/SGP for Site Growth Plan, and then you'll be in good shape. And that's right. The link is in the chat as well. So nichesiteproject.com/SGP, SGP for Site Growth Plan. All right. And that I wish maybe I promote my stuff poorly. I'm not sure the best way to get this rolling. But anyway, like I said, when someone buys, I'll pop open the beer and I'll talk about it more in a second. Just because I like the beer, it's really good. And of course, if you're not on the Niche Site Project newsletter, the email list, you can go sign up. Information's there. So nichesiteproject.com, click the green button, enter your name and email, and I'll send you all the templates and just point you towards helpful information. Okay. All right. I think perhaps, I'm not 100% sure. I think Nusrat and Maria might be trolling me. I'm not 100% sure. So I don't know what you're looking for. You have the link, you say it's the link, but where's the course link? So that is literally the link that you're looking for. Okay. And Arthur says you purchased KGR some time ago and you're interested in keyword research techniques. So what did you purchase? Okay, I'm definitely getting trolled now because there's nothing that you could purchase with KGR. It's just a concept. All right, so I better move on before I get very confused about what people are talking about here. So one clip that I want to play you is from Rob Atkinson, and he's built basically it's a they pull in over 7 figures per year with his site, and he started it I think towards the tail end of 2016 and early 2017. And in this clip, he's talking a little bit about the approach with links and content and monetization early on, just generally ranking and that sort of thing. So I'm going to play this clip now. The full interview is out on the channel, so you can definitely search for the full hour-long interview if you want to check out the whole thing.
Early on, we were doing the more traditional search operators where you look for guest post or those type of things, or we were looking for ways to buy outreach links but not have it show up publicly that it was sponsored or paid. We still do that general type of guest post link building for outreach, but one of the things we've switched to is more content marketing based. So we'll build a really beautiful piece of content that has a good linking crowd to it, military, veterans, and your topic. You kind of merge those two. Then you go after the veterans and all these pages, and you can kind of get links from places or where your competitors probably aren't getting links from. It depends on the site you're in the industry. Sometimes it's not going to work for most affiliate space. Our site is kind of in a space where it kind of pairs well with that. So that's one thing we've added. You don't get to send links specifically to the money pages you want really with that, but it's just a good way to kind of tap into some links that you might not have access or your competitors might not have access to.
And I've heard a similar strategy, for example, with nonprofits. So someone will do different nonprofit outreach, and a nonprofit always wants more publicity. They love it that anyone's even talking. I mean, you could even pick up the phone and call them and talk to the webmaster to get stuff done. So I think if people are creative and they think, they go outside the box from the normal stuff that we normally do. Now, as far as the importance of linking to the specific post that you're trying to rank, and you mentioned if you're doing content marketing, you're getting links to your site, some linkable stuff, but from your standpoint, how important is it to actually get links to those money pages or what you're trying to rank?
I think the trend is it's becoming less and less important. I think you can launch a site, I think you could do outreach, and I think you can generally just rise above with getting great quality links and over time not as concerned and being as hyper-focused on, I need this anchor text to this page. That being said, it is still an algorithm. There are still, ways you can kind of make things go in your favor. But I would only recommend that on a super small site where you're trying to be super scientific and analyze things from that perspective. But in general, I think scaling, getting tons of links, building lots of content in the long term is a better use of your time.
And the content, I just want to jump back before we talk about monetization and maybe how it shifted over time. But for the content, what quality level would you say it is? Did it start at a certain level and it shifted, or has it been high quality, or just, how would you rate it just in a general sense?
Yeah, it started pretty bare minimum average back when we launched. So I forget the exact price, maybe 3 cents a word. It was, your typical functional SEO content. And as the site started to do a lot better, and we actually had companies reaching out to us hey, our review is completely wrong, or you're saying this and this and that. And we really had to kind of tighten up our systems, and we had the revenue coming in so we could hire a lot higher quality, brought it in-house. And so right now, our reviews, our best pages, our content is scrubbed pretty well, and it's at a very high quality at this point.
Do you happen to recall, like, let me rephrase that one there. How much are you paying for content now?
Oh, that's a tough one. We don't, yeah, because our writers now, like we have a team of writers, but we'll talk about this later. We're launching our first digital course. So some of them like have done research, they do different jobs. Sometimes the needs of our company is like we need to write a lot of content. So the short answer is I can't really tell you like the costing per se, but we were hiring full-time salaried employees as part of our writing team. And I think we have about 4 or 5, but they do various different things.
Got it. Okay. And I just remember everyone that it's a 7-figure business. There's like salaried employees and payroll and stuff like that. So it's at a different level than, hey, you're going to hire someone on Upwork or something like that. So moving on to monetization, I think in the beginning, you were aiming at a sort of affiliate. I don't even know, but I won't even try and fill in the blanks here. But what was monetization strategies in the beginning? And then where has it shifted now after a few years?
Yeah, so the beginning, it was all Amazon. That's kind of all we knew at the time. And kind of a funny story, like we started ranking, we started making sales, and again, we were instantly sold on the fact that this was a hot niche and a good place to be. But then we actually started getting emails from a lot of the companies that sold their products specifically on their own website, so off of Amazon. And they're like, why the heck are you doing Amazon? We're like, my default was it's easier and it's usually better. I mean, I've tried a lot of non-Amazon. It's been a pain in the butt. But specifically to this industry, getting off Amazon was definitely the way to go. And so we have, I'm guessing about 75-80% of our revenue off of Amazon and maybe like 20-25% on Amazon right now.
And was it hard to shift away from Amazon, or it just took a little time to update the links and get the right content to promote the products properly?
Yeah, I think for our unique situation, it was so compelling to get off of Amazon. So, I mean, it became priority number one, like, yeah, get new content up, get new products up, and get off of Amazon. So it wasn't too bad for us because we really wanted to get off.
Do you guys use display ads, and did you ever use them? I don't even know, actually.
No, never have. It's been a conversation we've kicked around, and we just feel like what we could earn, might potentially hurt our brand, slow down our site. And it's just something we've never really wanted to commit to.
Okay. And how much traffic do you get, would you say, monthly?
For this site or like the various properties?
Just this site, and then I'm curious in total, like all the traffic that you're involved in.
Yeah, so we'll talk about like Google updates and stuff like that. So we've recently gone down. I would say normally when we're peaking, this site's like somewhere between 1 and 1.5 million visitors a month. We're probably down more in the 750,000 range as we speak with the May update.
Okay, so 1 to 1.5, just in general on average. Okay, very good. Yep. And yeah, it's such a huge amount of traffic. Do you have an idea, the breakdown of how much is going to the info content versus the affiliate related content?
In terms of traffic?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's near 50-50. I've looked at it a few times. I haven't looked at it recently, but I think it's about 50-50.
And I was just thinking, it's so much traffic, even if you just showed the ads on the informational stuff, it wouldn't necessarily cannibalize. But I appreciate a fast loading site, and I don't like ads when I go to a website. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I mean, you guys don't have to do it, and you don't want to. So that's fine. It's not like you have to answer to shareholders or something like that. All right, that was Rob Atkinson, and you could check out the full interview on the channel. There's, you'd have to search for it, but it's out there. And his site, yeah, like you said, 7 figures a year, and it's basically a simple niche site. It's started with Amazon, and then they've added more and more to it. They have a big team, and they're doing awesome. So pretty cool. Pretty cool overall. A couple just random things I wanted to talk about. So number one, this beer here. So I want to tell you about it. So whenever whenever someone enrolls, hopefully someone will soon, I'll pour it into this glass, which is a Pyrat glass, which is a great Belgian beer, and see how much better this other lens. And I mean, it's a nice lens, so you would expect it to look pretty good. So the beer I have here is a New Belgium Honey Orange Triple. Triple is one of my favorite styles. I love Belgian beers. It's a Belgian style ale brewed with wild African honey and fresh ground Seville orange peel. It clocks in at 10% alcohol, and it's quite light and delicious. This is brewed up in Fort Collins, so just about 45 minutes away, and it says to serve at 50 to 55 degrees, which is why it's fine to just let it chill out here, hang out here, so it could warm up, because it was in the fridge, and that was probably 38 degrees or so, which is a little warm. Cold, so I need to let it warm up. So anyway, like I said, we got this beer hanging out, and I'm excited to drink it. Now, if you're on the email list and you saw the email that I sent out this morning, I know quite a few of you are, you probably saw the little comment that I left. I'm like, oh yeah, I saw a bald eagle yesterday just on a bike ride and a hot air balloon. And I didn't have a picture, but I did have a movie, which I could show to you right here. So let's see how it looks. So the balloon didn't pop into focus too well, but the eagle's pretty cool. And yeah, there's a nest sort of off the greenway, not too far away here. So I could just, pop on the bike, ride down the greenway, and it's pretty awesome. It has been super smoky the last couple of weeks and just warm. It's been very hot. So yesterday, the smoke finally sort of cleared out overnight, and it was great. So went on a little bike ride. And it's fun to see the eagles. Where I grew up in Georgia, there really aren't any bald eagles around. I think there may be some in lake areas and that sort of thing, but there's more hawks and a ton of buzzards or turkey vultures out there. There's not many eagles. So when I came out west, it was like super exciting to see bald eagles around. And there's a nest, close by here that I could essentially ride a bike to or walk to. And there's a state park, St. Vrain State Park, that has another couple that nest over there. In Montana, there were quite a few that would just pass over in Bozeman. So just walking outside, you see an eagle kind of hanging out. Pretty fun. So let's answer some questions. I saw quite a few of them were coming around here. So this segment is sponsored by the Niche Website Builders, and there was a question that popped in related to that specifically. So Amin says, hi Doug, I hope you will share the results of the shotgun skyscraper from Niche Website Builders once I have it delivered. You're looking forward to the final metrics, how many links, the cost per link, the DA of the sites, and so on. Well, I'm very interested too. The thing is, with this campaign or any sort of outreach campaign, it takes time. So it takes a little bit of time to have the content written. You need to have a great piece of content. And then you have to do outreach. And that's where they come into play, because there's a lot of setup that you have to do. I don't want to do that piece of work. It doesn't sound very fun to me at all. So that's why it's a great thing to outsource. And per their results so far, some of the case studies that they've shared with me off the record, they've been able to get really good links as far as a DA or DR is concerned, and good results as far as the rankings and the improvement, which is, the most important part. The cost per link was very low, I think in the range around $50 per link in general when you factor everything in. But it does take a few months to run. The cool part is you could sort of run these on an ongoing basis for different pieces of content. So, I mean, great question. Let me hop back over and see if there's any others that I missed earlier. So Olivia says, if I find a keyword that fits the KGR, does it matter what the domain rating or the domain authority is of the websites that are currently ranking on the first page, and it's much higher than my own? So I answered in the chat a little bit, and I said, basically, it doesn't matter too much. The individual page does matter quite a bit. However, the point is you're targeting the keyword better than the other people. So if you're using the if you're using all in title and then you're actually targeting that query, that keyword, you're probably targeting it better than a lot of the other people that might be ranking for it. The key thing to look out for, Olivia, is whether or not there are sites like yours that are ranking in the SERPs already. So if you find a KGR term and then you see that it's all YouTube videos, then you're probably not going to rank it with a blog post. So that's the kind of stuff you have to look out for. Or if it's all, for example, e-commerce sites, then you have an affiliate site, you may not be able to rank for it because Google's looking for something else. Okay, and let's see here. Goats on the Road says, when you search for the all in title, you see different results if you're in incognito. And it was like a 10x factor. So 12 results versus 120. I wasn't sure, but I know IP addresses do play a role in it. So I'm not sure. All that I know your IP address doesn't change when you're going incognito or not. But all that to say, there's some factors on like your identity. Part of that is your IP address and maybe if you're incognito or if they know who you are. So I would probably go with a higher number that you're seeing with incognito, but as a practice, I don't go incognito. I never have results set to personalized. That's a setting you could change in Google. So don't forget, if you're just hopping on, I do have a new course out. It's Site Growth Plan. And as soon as someone buys, which no one has purchased yet, I'm going to open this beer in celebration. And hopefully, like I said at the beginning, it may be that no one buys during this live stream. Thanks to all the people that have already enrolled. I do appreciate that. And moving on, we do have Loving Creation says, hey, Doug, if I publish 100 posts with KGR techniques so I can rank normally without links, can I earn a decent amount, about $100 to $200? So technically that is possible. Can you do it? I don't know. Can any like general person do it? Then maybe. I'm not sure. But you don't need to have 100 articles to make $100 to $200. You can do it with very few. I'm not sure how many posts like some of our recent success stories have had, but I know there was someone, I think Justin may still be on here and you can give us an update, but basically Justin had something like 28 to 30 articles and was making over $1,000 per month at that given time, that snapshot in time. Asim says, the video quality is superb. What's the agenda? So talking site growth plan. We're talking keyword research as normal. A lot of people are into the beer. Bonnie says, it sounds yummy. New Belgium discontinued Sunshine Wheat. So it could be a replacement. Oh, I remember Sunshine Wheat from way back in the day. Way back. David said you hired a writer for a trial piece and liked it. However, when you used Grammarly, it came back with 4% plagiarism. All the plagiarism is from the KGR that I wanted from the title. Is that a problem? No, it's not, other than that could have been used a little too often. Just the phrase a little too often, but that's fine. I mean, really anything under, I would say like 2% from a given source is probably okay. Sometimes what you'll find, David, is essentially throwaway transitional phrases that don't actually have anything to do with the subject matter at all, and that's not a problem. I do need to give a shout out to Niche Website Builders on the 10% more content that you can get and 10% off the link building packages, so you can actually get it cheaper than me. So the link is in the description of this video. All right. Bonnie says, generally speaking, what income level per month provides a sensible time to begin outsourcing content creation? So generally speaking, if you can front the money yourself, then you could do it right away. I do recommend that you probably get like one article written per month, just so that you become familiar with the process of hiring and dealing with a freelancer. It's a valuable skill, and it's better to just kind of ease into it. When you back into the numbers, I would say once you're pulling in $25 a month, you'll be able to pay for probably one article. There's a lot of factors in there, but generally one article. And if you want to wait, so here's a good just benchmark. If you have totally lost my train of thought. So if you have $100 that you're making per month and you want to reinvest 25%, that would be one article per month. Perfect. So $100, you could reinvest 25%. Of course, you could move the numbers around however you want there. And Arthur says, I'm in Westminster, which is basically down the street from here. Okay, I haven't done a meetup here in Colorado, but at some point I probably will, over at the Mr. Money Mustache Triple M HQ. So someone says, Enter Ecom says, hey, I'm curious to know why the landing page for the new course is not hosted on your site. You have the Carbonate theme, but notice you nor Matt use it for a landing page. Cool. So Enter Ecom, great question. And I will pop back over to this camera. So basically, I'm moving over to Kajabi. And Kajabi is a learning management system, an LMS, and a sort of a full like marketing platform, or they try to be. So I'm moving over there from self-hosting my own courses. It's been great so far because you don't have to deal with a lot of the other little technical things. It has its own downsides. One thing that I can do is use my own unique domain name on there. But as this is my first core site growth plan on Kajabi, I wanted to wait before I migrated anything else over or made any major configurations. It's a pretty smart well, just patting myself on the back, telling you I'm doing a smart thing. But it's good to test things out before you just like move everything over. So I wanted to test with a brand new course, sort of in isolation, and then I'll be able to layer on more things here and there. As far as Carbonate, I am playing around with it on some sites, but I don't use it for niche site project. And further, because Kajabi is sort of a full stack LMS, marketing, funnel, payment processing, affiliate management, all these things that I was having to basically piece together with several different tools, I was like, I'm just going to use their platform. And the thing is, they have like sales pages and templates all put together, and all the analytics and tracking, the full funnel is put together already. So they call them pipelines over there. So I could just select a pre-built template for a funnel, which is called a pipeline, and then it has all the shit I need in there already. So you won't see a sales page for my new courses anywhere else than probably Kajabi. However, it probably will say courses.nichesiteproject.com in the future once I set up that configuration. Things seem pretty good so far, by the way. All right, Babar says you received your first Amazon affiliate payment, so congrats. This is great work. Justin says you did your own Shotgun Skyscraper campaign. You got 7 backlinks The difficulty according to Ahrefs is 65. All DA 70 and above ranking for it, and you're sitting at number 10. Gotcha. Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, it takes a while for links to kick in as well, and things just move a little slower than they used to in the past. Rob says for the all entitled, the number changes when you go to the last page, mostly by a factor of 10 or more. And that's a common question. I don't know why people go all the way to the last page. I've never done that, but people ask a couple times a week. Bonnie says, keywords everywhere seems to be causing Google to keep capturing me to prove I'm not a robot. Is that normal? It happens to me fairly often. So yeah, I would say that's normal. All right, Anna says, hey, how can a writer or VA put an Amazon link or change the ID without using the AWP plugin? So I think I've done a blog post on this, but basically there's a format for the link. And Annis, you've been on here a ton. I'm surprised you didn't know this already. So this is probably a piece of content that I could write since people don't know it. But yeah, so you just put in the ASIN and then the tracking ID into the format, and then that's the link. So very straightforward. It's in all my courses. That's why you can't just get all the free stuff on YouTube, because sometimes you miss a piece out there. All right, and I don't have that template handy, by the way, so you'll have to find it on your own there, but fairly straightforward. Olivia says, the posts that I wrote using KGR are not on the first page of Google, but when I read an article by Ahrefs that said 88% of pages that rank in the top 10 are over 2 years old. Hopefully, they'll slowly go up in the ranks. So that stat is probably true. That does make sense to me. However, I think it's important to look at the source data. So I don't think that they were probably looking at long tail keywords as much as the shorter tail keywords. They may have been, I'm not sure, but the good part with KGR is it works really well for young sites. And yeah, sometimes it does take time. All right. Oh, and Arthur says you get up to Longmont fairly frequently. Yeah, and I've done a meetup in Atlanta just because then it's when I'm down visiting family and stuff, so it's a nice little break to go do a meetup. But I haven't done one around here. I've been busy and then just a million excuses. I think, like I said, I could do it at the co-working space, which is a great facility, but with COVID going on, I'm trying to generally limit exposure with strangers. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, sometime soon, probably. All right, Vince, what's going on? Justin says you found getting links from already existing content gets picked up by Google faster, for sure. And Justin says the sites have been stagnant. Amazon didn't restock a lot of the products, and tables crash and had to build them out again. So it's been a rough couple months, but still pulling in $1,500 plus per month. Very cool. All right. And the other, I lost my little overlay here. Another question here. Armand says, how much should I sell my website if it's earning $100 per month? It's 1 year old. So typically a website sells for between 25 and 35, the average monthly profit. So make sure that's the profit, and don't forget any expenses, and that's generally how much you'll be able to sell it for. There are a lot of factors involved though. So it could be a lot higher or a lot lower. But generally, if I just had to ballpark it, about $3,000, something like that. But like I said, it depends on a lot of factors, how much content, where the traffic's coming from, keywords it's ranking for. I mean, there's a lot of different areas people could value it. So All right. I do have another clip. Let's see here. We talked to Rob earlier. So in this one, we're talking about the 1,000-day rule from Tropical MBA. One of my favorite podcasts, by the way. So check it out if you haven't. His goals and then the working process in general. So we'll throw it back to Rob here.
So if I just try to get our dates aligned first, so quit the job, let's say end of 2014. So let's say end of 2017. Actually, if I look at it from like a revenue perspective, since the end of 2017, early 2018, this site that we've worked on, the revenue actually, give or take like algo updates and stuff like that, it's been actually really flat. What's interesting about it is our quality has improved. It's almost to the point where to compete in this SEO space and to maintain our rankings, we have to be like going ahead, but it's kind of deflating just to stay even. So I've found years, I guess 3 and plus, I guess almost stuck, if you want to say, in a revenue growth perspective, in terms of like happiness and finally like getting to do things I want, not trying to build things for the idea. Like the motivation is not money anymore. The reason why I work is because I enjoy the team. I like growing things. So just whereas year 1 through 3, I mean, I had a number in mind and I was pushing super hard and the growth went up and up and up. So it's just, a tale of 2 different versions on both sides of that time frame.
Interesting. And I was going to say, I feel the same as far as like, it looks stagnant, but I've shifted my lifestyle and I'm happier than I was. And it sounds like you're in the same spot.
Yeah, quality has gone up without, I mean, there were some rough periods to get me to this point, but quality is at an incredibly high standard, and I'm not tied to the business having to perform these functions. So my quality of life has gone up, but it did do a little, dip, let's say in years 3, 4, and 5, and the last like year or 2 has really been on an upward trend.
How many hours a week do you work, would you say?
I hate that question because it's like, what do you define work as? Right? Is that sitting on the couch and like daydreaming about like, the strategy or something like that? Or is that like typing on the computer?
I would say sitting at the computer. Yeah.
Okay. I would say maybe 6 to 8 hours a day.
Okay. So pretty normal day.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I can definitely pull away and do more. I see myself now as kind of the person pushing the new products, strategizing. I'm constantly interacting with the operations, the SEO people, just like moving things along, conversating. It's very rare that I'm actually like, I'm not going onto the page and changing the titles and stuff like that. But I'm probably at my computer, maybe 6 to 8 hours a day. And I always take Saturday completely off. And then Sunday I'll usually go on for about 2 hours and just kind of organize what the week upcoming is going to look like.
I think actually it's more hours than I expected, or I thought maybe there would be like, no Fridays or something like that.
Yeah, and to be fair, okay, let's also add in that, every few weeks, we do go on little trips and stuff like that. We had travel plans for this summer, but looks like COVID's going to mess it up again. So in the summer, it was going to be, very limited, just pushing the course and stuff like that. I will say that I'm also working more right now than I usually do because we're launching this course. A lot of new stuff, a lot of pushing. So I would say like 6 to 8 hours is on the higher end in most cases.
Got it. For the future, right? So we're both in this period. It's like we've been doing this less than 10 years and you have a great asset with your site and some other projects too. Do you know what your goal is? Do you want to sell the site at some point? Do you see yourself sticking in this SEO and affiliate space for a long time, or do you have other thoughts, even if it's those daydreams or whatever?
I don't think that far ahead as much as I should. I know that right now we don't have any plan to sell the site. It hasn't really even crossed our mind. I guess I'm really stuck in the 1 to 3 year time frame right now. Really want to do really well with digital courses and really get that business model proven. The next step we want to take after that is our own e-commerce products. So that's kind of where we're going in the next 1 to 3 years. But now I've got a little note to daydream a little bit further out. And yeah, I mean, I think it's cool because like with the team and that we can really start to be thinking pretty big and what we can do. And I'm not saying courses and e-commerce is not big, but I think one day trying to do something not so normal, maybe be the first to launch a type of product, would be pretty cool.
And it is really hard. I mean, I don't think that far ahead either. It's really tough because like think back 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was sitting at a cubicle. Actually, I was just starting a project that I ended up being on for like 8 years or something like that. And it was stagnant at work. And I mean, I remember like trying to get promoted for a couple years and just for like a 5% rate. I mean, it was so stupid. And yeah, like 10 years ago, like what gig did you have? Was it the accounting gig?
At that point, yeah, 2009, 10. Yeah, it was still the accounting. Yep.
Yeah. And it's like thinking 10 years from now, like where we potentially could be. I mean, I have no clue. On the moon or something. I don't know. All right, we're back. That was Rob Atkinson, of course. So check out the full interview with him. Smart guy. I have known Rob since 2014, something like that. We worked on sort of like the biggest project that either of us had worked on at the time with Project Go White Hat, which was a few years ago, circa 2016, something like that. So we worked together on that, and we've continued to work for ourselves and do hopefully bigger and better things. I know he is, and I think I am too. So got a few more questions that are popping in here, which is fantastic. Good to see the questions. But I have great news for everyone, mostly me. Someone bought. We sold one. We did it. So I can open the beer now. Again, this is not sponsored. I just like their beer. The New Belgium Honey Orange Triple. And the thing is, they have a regular triple that doesn't have the honey orange in there. And it's very good too. It's 8.5%. These are a little bit more special, a little bit more alcohol and a little bit more just going on, more ingredients and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to pop this baby open here. And I do see Travis ask a question. Other people can ask questions as well. Sounds like we have a decent number of folks in the vicinity of Boulder, so we potentially can do a decent meetup. So when I did the meetup in Atlanta, we just were at a park. We stayed outside. Everyone wore a mask, and everyone felt good and comfortable with it. I'll try and pour here. The great part, this is what they call a tulip glass, and it allows you to really like get a nice head of foam on there. And it's not focusing on it, but it's just a blurry thing in front of the camera. There we go. So you can have a nice head of foam on there, and there's still plenty of room. So cheers, everybody. And just as a reminder, when you do work for yourself, it could be 1:55 in the afternoon, and you had a salad for lunch after you worked out, and then you drink a 10% beer because no one's paying attention to what you're doing, except all you good people. So cheers, everyone. Thanks for enrolling. Shout out to, I think I could say your first name, I believe. Actually, let me just double check so I can give you a proper shout out. I hope that you are live here. If you are, we'll call you W. All right. So thanks, W. If you're on here, I appreciate it. If you just happen to purchase it, unbeknownst to you that we were doing this live stream, that is fantastic too. So shout out to you. All right. Travis says, newbie question here. I have a brand new domain. How long would you estimate it would take to start receiving organic traffic from Google, assuming you're doing a reasonably good job with your website? Couple things here. And Travis, have you built a website before? Have you written content before? Have you created a site that gets traffic? So just curious about your marketing experience in the past. If you're coming in brand new, then I would say if you could probably get some traffic coming in within 1 to 3 months. It depends on how much work you put in the first, 1 to 3 months, basically. So if you launch your site and maybe you have a budget, you have some money that you can invest, and you can, say, put in $1,000 and get some content written and have 20 articles written, have some more being published each week, for example. If you're able to do that and you have a little bit of experience publishing content, getting traffic, just online marketing in general, there's a good chance you can get traffic within the month. I'll go on a tangent in a second. If you have zero experience, it could be more like 2 to 6 months before you start getting some traffic. But what you can do, Travis, is take a look and listen and watch some of the success stories on this channel, and you'll hear from people that they didn't get much traffic until they hit 8 months. You'll hear from some people that were getting enough traffic to make $500 a month within 3 months. So it's a huge range, and usually it depends on the experience level, the number of websites someone has launched, and all that sort of thing. So cheers, Bonnie, Vince. So it smells. I'm a pretty good beer judge, so we'll talk about it. There's some spice, and there's a lot of fruity esters. Smells a little like pear. I don't get a huge, there's a little citrus, and it is, they put Seville orange peel on here, so that's sort of in my mind, like that's something I'm looking for. And a lot of times, some triples will have a sort of a citrus note as well, usually from the yeast, typically. Not always, but usually from the yeast. So, it's so good. So good. And it's brilliantly clear. You can see that, that's a pretty good shot there. You can see the little bubbles coming up there. So brilliantly clear. And the head is white to just off-white with excellent retention. There's some lacing on there and a little bit of legs. And probably, I know UK homebrew, hopefully you're savvy with the beer tasting. I do get a little alcohol warmth like you would expect in a 10% beer. It has a nice fullness, and like I said, it's very light as far as the body for such a big beer, which is why triples and beers like this can really get you into trouble. So any other questions out there? Happy to keep on going here. That is good. I'm definitely going to drink this while we're hanging out here. Couple other things, just random stuff. You may have noticed this past week if you are a subscriber on the channel, which if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do. We do these live streams each week, typically at this exact time. I may be shifting it a little bit. I'm not 100% sure, but I might shift it a bit. And I put on the, what do you call it? Stories. I think it's stories in YouTube. I was trying to help my wife with her computer because her hard drive crashed. So her hard drive crashed. She needed to, get a new one. So she put in a new one. And I don't have any Windows machines. So we were struggling trying to figure out how to create like a boot disk, like a restore disk for her Windows 10 machine I have a Mac, and I have a small Chromebook. So I was trying to figure out how to do it. I found a workaround. All right, I found a workaround. I thought it was going to work. And I think it did. I think it actually worked. I'm not sure. When Windows just sucks, I guess. So basically, she spent a few hours one day trying to install it. I spent a few hours as well. And basically, the install for Windows kept crashing. So I was like, all right, I don't know what to do. It could be the image that I've created. I think I've done an okay job, but basically, I didn't know. I was like, I don't know what to do. I Then I was like, oh, maybe we could just put any OS on there. I mean, she's mostly just using it for email, browsing the web, some, just light computing work. She does like mostly Excel, right? She really likes Excel over Sheets or other spreadsheet apps out there. And I mean, I don't blame her. I mean, I liked Excel just because I was used to it, but Google Sheets is totally fine. I don't have any issues with it now. The formulas seem to be pretty robust, but she didn't want to do anything different. Anyway, I put Linux on there, Linux Mint. It installed in I made the thumb drive and installed it in 20 minutes or something like that. It was so fast compared to fucking around with the stupid Windows. So anyway, that's the story with that. And if you want to follow along on other stories that are pointless like that, then you can subscribe to the channel. And I think if you look at the community tab, or you could find me in the stories zone. So if you want, actually quite a few people watch those, and I'm not sure. I may do more of them. There's quite a few people that watch those little videos, but okay. Homebrew, UK Homebrew says, have I tried Hoegaarden? Yeah. So many times. Yeah, Hoegaarden, for the people who don't know, it's a Belgian wit beer. And I've had, if we went through the traditional beers, I've had most of the sort of signature styles, the greatest examples of a lot of different beers. When you start getting to individual breweries, I've had many, probably several hundred different breweries, beers from different breweries, and easily thousands of beers. But there's so many breweries out there these days. All right, 24/7 Marketing says, is creating a detailed article brief before hiring an author a good approach to content development? Yeah. The more details you can give the writer, the better. And that is literally something, for the people that only, it's hard because if you're into watching videos, you may not want to read a blog, but that specific thing, 24/7 Marketing, is over on Niche Site Project, and there are templates literally for article briefs so that you can create such an article brief for your writer, along with templates to hire on Upwork, templates to fire on Upwork, and just interacting with your writers. So if you haven't checked out the blog, highly encourage you to do it. It's tough because I have YouTube here, I got the podcast and the blog, and each one of them has sort of their area that they do really well in. And some of the details, you could imagine a video on a content brief template, little boring, going to lose a lot of people. Not going to rank. I mean, it's a video for people that are really into that specific idea, but it's over on the blog. So definitely check it out. It's one of the more popular. It actually, I think, I'm not sure if Bo's still here. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure Bo said that the templates for hiring writers and working with writers allowed him to grow his site so much, which is now worth well over 100K. I think as it's growing like crazy, I think you could probably get a multiple in the high 30s or even 40, something like that. And Tony says, as a writer, After you find someone that you're comfortable with working with, you may want to give them freedom. You'll be surprised. Yes. Agree 100%. Thanks, Tony, for mentioning that. Typically, I don't do a content brief, and I just let the writer go for it just because it's easier. And the other part of that is once you work with a writer and you've given them maybe a couple content briefs, then they kind of get what you're after. So you can relax on that. Mukesh says 3 months into a blog, you're getting traffic of 55,000 per month, 10,000 organic, remaining are social or direct. Is it a good signal, or will the traffic vanish over time? No, that's great. If you're getting 10,000 organic per month and it's 3 months old, that's fantastic. That's great. Keep up the good work. As far as the traffic vanishing over time, I have no clue from the social or direct point of view. It shouldn't vanish over time. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're probably going to be in good shape. So Bonnie says, do I have a link for multi-profit site yet? And the answer is yes. So Bonnie, we'll pull back the curtain a little bit here. And so Bonnie, you've been on the live streams and we've been emailing quite a bit. So what I have in place, and I don't try to hide this fact, so that's why it's easy for me to tell you about. But what I have in place is an autoresponder sequence where, if a new person like you, Bonnie, signs up for the email list, you get emails. We go through some valuable content. I try to help you out, and then I give you an offer, right? Like multi-profit site. So multi-profit site, that link should be coming via email. It's automated. It should be coming for you soon. I can't remember where you are in this. I don't remember where anyone is in the sequence because it's all automated and everyone is in a different point. But they call it an evergreen funnel. And that way, hopefully you get the offer when you're ready for it. And it's only purely based on my guess and I use data, but after I have sent out emails and tried to market my course, I understand like when people want to see it. The cool part, Bonnie, is the multi-profit site is like the new course, and it's literally like the first group of students have just finished it. So you should get the email soon. Shoot me an email if you want to get it sooner. I'll just send it to you today. Again, since we've corresponded a bunch, and I'm telling you, like, you'll get the offer soon. You'll get some other emails and stuff like that. There's no harm in getting you that info sooner. Okay. The cool part with, you have salad for lunch. You have your 10% beer. Feels good. Let's turn on the fan here. It's getting warm. There we go. First time we had the remote control fan and stuff, so you don't have strings hanging down. It's kind of nice. Pretty clean look. Pretty clean look up there. All right. Tony says, one of my clients was shocked when I delivered a 4,000 word article on a 1,500 word order because I didn't feel it gave enough info on the topic. Very cool, Tony. All right. Gaming World says, how much info and commercial content do we need for a new site? However much you want, all right? However much you want. I recommend that you do at least 50% informational. You could do more informational if you want to, even up to 75%. It also depends on how you're monetizing the site. If you're trying to make affiliate commissions, then you probably need a little bit more on the review side. But if you're showing ads on your site, then you can do almost all informational content. So it depends on how you're trying to monetize, but generally, if you're just asking, 50% is a good target. Matt says, how do you write hundreds of articles on something you know nothing about? How do you get the photos without using stock images if you're just writing at home on your computer? All right. How do you write about something you don't know anything about? So Matt, you should do a lot of research. Do a lot of research. I have a few videos on doing such research and some other just content in general. I think probably what you want to look for is RPM, research paper method. So you just research. All the information's out there. Basically, all information is out there. So you could research it, or you could hire writers to do it. How do you get images without using stock images? So I feel like it's a trick question. So you would have to either take the pictures yourself, right? Or use stock images. I think you're trying to save money, which is fine. I mean, I appreciate that. I try to save money too. But there are great places to get images that are free. So if you go to nichesiteproject.com/resources, I think. Yeah, resources. There are a lot of resources that I recommend there. There's also image sites that you can, some are paid, some are free, but there's a lot out there that are free. And if you just need images, you can also use Creative Commons, which I think I've outlined also on Niche Site Project. So if you search on Niche Site Project, you should find a lot of information there. All right. And then we have Travis asking, do you recommend doing reviews of single products or only best of? So I'm in the middle. I used to only do the best of type articles, but you can sort of build these content clusters or silos or however you want to describe it, where you can have longer reviews on the single products and potentially rank for those, even though it's a low search volume. They may not convert as well, but you have relevancy for that topic, which is not a bad thing. So I'm in the middle, and I think either approach is totally fine. And Justin, my man, says you decided to get the course. You got to make some improvements, and you can't wait to get started. Kick ass, Justin. That is fantastic. Cheers to you. And before, I've only had half. I was going to say, for each one that we sell, I'll drink another beer. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I only have one more of these, but my wife is on her way home. She was running some errands and doing some stuff. She had to go to the office today briefly. She should be home soon, so I can have her bring me a beer if we keep selling courses. So cheers, Justin. Thank you. Looking forward to working with you. And and Bonnie says, understood. So for sure, feel free to send me an email if you want a little more info. Gaurav says, I have the content part sorted and you're focusing on building links. You're tossing up between Human Proof Design's guest posting and the niche website builders shotgun skyscraper. Okay, so for disclosure, as we have to do as normal. So number one, niche website builders, right? I'm an affiliate. They're sponsoring some of the live streams and some of the other work that I'm doing as well. And Human Proof Designs, I am also an affiliate for them too. So I'm picking between these two. I haven't used the guest posting service from Human Proof Designs. The Shotgun Skyscraper, I am only like 1/3 into the campaign. So I have the content, which is awesome. They have custom images. It looks beautiful. They did a really excellent job on the content. If all else being equal, I would go with a Shotgun Skyscraper from niche website builders. The guest posting service and some of the stuff that makes me nervous with the Human Proof Designs is I'm pretty sure they still do, they have a PBN service, private blog network service. And I haven't chatted with the Human Proof Designs folks in a while, But I think a year ago when I was chatting with him, I was like, man, you guys are still doing PBNs. I was like, is that a little off brand? Like, what do you, why are you selling those? That seems weird. And, they're still effective, right? So I know that I'm pretty sure they have a separate service for guest posting versus the PBN, and they disclose the difference. But it does make me nervous because there's sometimes a fine line between guest posting and private blog networks when it comes to services. So you have to be really careful. Sometimes you can't really tell the difference because a site that used to be like a legit blog kind of moves over and now only publishes guest posts, all of which are paid. So you end up with potentially a rough issue. Again, I haven't used that service, but if you're asking me like what looks more legit on the other side, the shotgun skyscraper, like getting a link to an awesome piece of content, that makes more sense to me than having a guest post on a random kind of site. So that's my take, Gaurav. And whichever one you decide, let me know. Shoot me an email. I'd like to hear, both why you chose it and then results in the future. Got a cough here. Should be able to mute. All right. That's better. Good question there. Matt L says, are all articles and reviews blog posts? When would you use a page? So it's really up to your preference. There's no like set way to do it. Some people like to use pages because it gives the ability to have parent pages and child pages and essentially set up a silo. I typically publish them, reviews and other pieces of content as a blog post. However, if you do go over to Niche Site Project, you'll notice that I have a lot of content that is published as a page just because I don't want it on the recently published like blog roll, or I'm placing it into a silo for a specific reason. So for example, I have nichesiteproject.com/SEO, and then there are subtopics in there, which are SEO topics. And you'll also notice I use the Focus WordPress theme over there, and it has breadcrumbs set up. No universal navigation, no header, no other distractions. It's the breadcrumb trail. So you can go back to like the parent page, and hopefully, right, the goal is people are not distracted with too many options. And if they happen to be interested in that subtopic in that silo, maybe they're interested in other areas of SEO. So that if they were to navigate back up, it's very tight in the topic area which they're investigating at the time. I haven't changed. It's been a while since I changed it, and I haven't checked in a while. So I can't quite remember, but basically I think my pages per visit, a lot of the user metrics, visitor metrics improved after I did that. And Chris Pearson, the creator of the Focus WordPress theme and thesis, reflected that as well. So he made this major change, tested it on his site, got good results, rolled it out into Ninja DIY. What's the best theme? Well, there's no best theme. There are some bad ones out there, but I really like the Focus WordPress theme. It's thesis with Focus as the skin laying on top. I believe there's a link in the description, and I interviewed the founder one time, and then we did a few YouTube collaborations as well. So that was pretty awesome. So I would check out that theme, loads super fast. All right, getting behind here. A lot of questions are coming through. Asim says, any update on the case study? I saw the site. It's not updated. Let us know what's happening. Number of posts. So yes, I owe an update, and I keep saying that I owe an update. Basically, I think it's at around $50 a month, just off the top of my head. And I haven't done anything to it since November of last year. So it's just been sitting there. It was continually growing up until April. And then the May algorithm update knocked the traffic down, a lot of the rankings as well. So it was, I think it got up to $200 a month, something like that. And I do owe an update. So I haven't added any content, so there's still about 80 posts there. All right. So it sounds like my wife got home. So Georgie's going to be released from here. And yeah, if we have another order for cheers. I'm doing a live stream. Here.
Nice.
So yeah. Look, see, there's people there. So, whoa, I almost fell down.
Why are you frozen?
Oh, I'm just monitoring the chat there.
Oh.
So, all right.
Came in to get the dog.
She's getting the dog. So yeah. Anyway, I'll let you know if I need another beer. Thanks. All right, just some comedy there. Okay, moving on. So no major updates. And see, one thing that I'm looking at is I use Page Optimizer Pro, POP, for on-page optimization by Kyle Roof and his crew. So one thing I need to do is go through and just like update the content. One theory that Rob Atkinson mentioned to me in the past was basically like these algorithm updates, they will send sites down and they'll send sites up. And on Niche Site Project, for example, I published a lot of content in the second half of last year and traffic went up. I saw some great results from publishing more content. I was getting kind of pumped. And then basically I got busy with some other things. Some priorities shifted. So I wasn't publishing as much on Niche Site Project. In January, right? So after about 6 months of publishing regularly on Niche Site Project, more traffic. I mean, I was seeing good results. In January, the algorithm update hit and my traffic dropped by like a moderate amount, maybe 10 or 15%, enough for me to notice. And I didn't do anything because my priorities shifted, right? So I just kept trucking along. Everything's normal. May update hits in 2020, right? Just 5 months later, traffic goes back up. And I literally published like 2-3 articles on Niche Site Project from January to May. So if we put the timeline together, I did a lot of work from the second half of 2019. Things were good. Then an algorithm update hit right when I was still in the middle of that in early 2020 in January. Traffic drops. I don't do anything for 5 months and then traffic goes up via an algorithm update. So all that to say, I'm kind of waiting for the next algorithm update and maybe it'll spring back just in time for retail season while I've done nothing for a long time. So UK Homebrew says, I use a mixture of stock images and pics I have taken, and using your own images seem to rank better. I like sort of the authentic feel of images that you've taken yourself, even if they don't have a picture of the product. But you mentioned like window repair, so you could go and take some pictures of your own windows, windows around your neighborhood, whatever, and it looks more authentic. Okay. All right. And Garoff says, shotgun skyscraper sold. Oh, and Matt also mentions about the images. Does that mean you're buying the products and doing the project specifically for the post? So not necessarily. That could be very expensive if you're covering a lot of items. So one little hack is you can go to a store and snap some pictures with your phone. Usually people won't have an issue with that. But if you go run around with like a big professional looking camera like that one, then they're like, what are you doing in here? Like, you can't do that in here. But if you're just on your phone, which, these phones are fantastic. My case is falling apart here. You see that? So, but the pictures are pretty awesome. And most of the time, you're going to end up with something that looks good enough. So you can do that as well. All right. Justin says, in my opinion, run the campaign yourself. It's way cheaper and super easy. Authority Hacker has a guide on the website, and all you have to do is respond to emails. You can run a skyscraper campaign for $65 per month. So, and Justin, yeah, I think you are right as far as I don't know how much it costs. However, I know there's several pieces that you have to put into place. You have to warm up the email addresses. And then the key thing, it's called shotgun, right? And shout out to Authority Hacker, of course, for this technique. But they basically put together a couple things, and that is, you do the skyscraper, and then they really figured out the outreach part in a shotgun fashion, where you just blast the whole internet. Anyone with an email address, you're sending them an email, seeing if they'll link to your site. It's not that much of a shotgun, but there's definitely a scatter effect going on. So basically, the big thing is you do have to keep sending out the emails. You have to do the prospecting. And these were, things that we were doing in 2013 to 2015, 16 timeframe, where, you have to prospect, you have to send out the emails, and the tools to send out a mass number of emails and then follow up in a fully automated fashion. Those tools became a lot more sophisticated and readily available. So Justin, that's pretty awesome what you've been able to do. And I think the more you run the campaigns, Justin, by the way, like the better you're going to get at it and the more efficient. UK Homebrew says you do buy some products and then you have them for yourself to use. Mukesh says, is Ezoic recommended? What's my take, especially to improve the earnings? So number one, Ezoic is a partial underwriter for these live streams. So I'm biased basically. So I would say, actually, I don't have to be biased. Basically, you should test whatever networks you think you can do a good job on. So Ezoic seems to have really good AI and machine learning, and they have the ability to test where other display ad networks don't have that ability. So there's a couple things to look out for. So if you use Ezoic, make sure in your testing between different networks, make sure you know how many ads are being shown for each of the networks so that you're comparing, at least apples to apples. It may not be the same kind of apple, but at least it's the same kind of fruit. Recently, I heard a lot of times if you're using a different network, maybe you're showing 15 ads on network X, and maybe on another network, you are only showing like 5. So you end up with like not a fair comparison at all. But Mukesh, the best way to do it is to test different networks, make sure you equalize as many variables as possible so that you're not comparing things that don't make sense. So, okay. So it looks like we made it towards the end of most of the questions. Any last questions before we finish up here? It looks like we have... we did a pretty good job. Today. Thanks for the folks that enrolled in the course. Much appreciated. Cheers. And I'm almost done with this one. So if another order comes through in the next, I would say 5 minutes, we have a deadline here, I'll grab another one and then stick around until I finish it up. All right. Cyberden says, is it a good idea to use embedded images from Getty Images? So only if you're paying for the images, all right? So don't use Getty Images if you don't have permission. I think those are that is one of the companies that will come around, send you an email and try and sue you and get you to settle. So yeah, don't use images without permission. It's even fuzzy to use the Google image search and select, for unrestricted use. And I can't remember the exact term, but basically images could be placed there without the photographer's knowledge. In Google image search, I'm not 100% sure it's as sort of safe as we would like to believe. Gabriel says, what's my opinion on click depth for on-site SEO, and what tool would I recommend to fix it? So I believe it is important, right? And the idea of click depth is if someone lands on your site, I don't know like what the threshold is or what the recommended click depth is, but basically you want people to be able to get to your pages without having to click like 50 times, right? So if someone landed on a niche site project, we hope that you can get to a specific given page within a few clicks, say 3. So if you're on the home page, you would maybe have to click on start here and then SEO, and then you're in the SEO area, and then all the SEO guides are there. So you don't want there to be too many clicks before you can get to any given article. Worst case scenario is what's called an orphan page, where there's no there's no internal link to that page. So someone would have to land on that page from search or a direct link from another site. So as far as fixing it, I'm not 100% sure about what to fix it. I do use Link Whisper for internal linking, and you should be able to determine that from Link Whisper, but I'm pretty sure like Ahrefs and several other of the crawling type on-site SEO tools can give you that information. And so Tyrus, thank you for this specific answer coming out of the blue. The click depth must be max 3 clicks. So you don't want anything to be more than 3 clicks away per the knowledgeable people in the chat. So thanks for that, because I didn't know. Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was like 4 clicks max or whatever, but I guess, yeah, no more than 3. So I'm sure I have some, too much of click depth for a few of my things out there. So, all right, I think we're finishing up. I'll double check over here. Let me refresh to see if we have any more student enrollments, and people are catching up at the end here. We got Site Growth Plan, which is the new course. Basically, if your site is stalled out, if you've plateaued, this course will help you figure out what to work on. There's too many things to work on, and you need to be able to assess where you're at, prioritize what you need to do, and then you'll understand what you need to work on in a more systematic way. And it's a pretty good course. It's over there on Kajabi. So I'm enjoying using Kajabi so far. It took me a little while I feel like I'm mispronouncing it every time I say the name, but I mean, it's a unique name. And I was thinking about switching over from Aweber to Kajabi for the email marketing. It's a full suite, right? They have everything, and they're trying to be the one stop for funnel, the marketing piece, for the course management, all that stuff. And basically, I wasn't sure if my deliverability and kind of the robustness of the email marketing platform on Kajabi was as good as Aweber. It's a nightmare to migrate over from any email platform. And I actually developed a plan. I think I had a Post-it note and a couple other scraps of paper where I was like, okay, I can migrate in this way. This will have the least impact to users and the smallest headache. Everything's a trade-off, right? It was going to break a few things and kind of be a mess. And then I decided, you know what? I think I may just stick with Aweber. Like, it's been good. It is an extra basically $150 per month for the service that kind of duplicate, but at this point, I'm like, email deliverability, very important to me. Okay. We have, Sean says CC, but I don't know what that means. Creative Commons, maybe? Bassie says, cool. Thanks for the idea, Justin. You'll be trying it on your site. Hopefully you'll get good results. So yeah, Bassie, check in with me. Let me know what you end up finding and how the results go for you. All right. So Tiris says, content is king. What's my opinion? Yeah, content's good. I think if you have good content, a lot of times that can, it could really solve a lot of problems. So, and I think, these days, I'm thinking not just blog content, but I'm also thinking about podcasting. I'm thinking about YouTube, and content is so important. But when you hear people say, just publish like the very best content. In fact, my friend Matt Giovanisi, I think I've heard him on a couple podcasts, which I should just ask him soon. Maybe have him back on the show here soon. When you say, just publish even better content than your competitors. Sometimes content is really mature and it's really good. Like all the top 10 results are roughly equivalent. They've covered it. They've said everything there is to say. They've come at it from different angles. They've copied each other. They've filled in all the gaps, and it's really good. And it's concise too. And at that point, I'm not sure like just writing better content is a thing. Like at some point, there's not more that you can add, and there's not much more you could take away. So I think content is king, sure. Unless you have to, turn to another area, which is kind of a cop-out answer, I guess. So yes, but I'm not sure. Unless you have to take another angle, which at that point you can be creative and do different things, right? You can come at it from a different marketing angle, for example, and instead of trying to, write better content, you can do a YouTube video and then try to collaborate with other YouTubers on a specific topic. Then you have a whole other untapped audience that bloggers, your competitors, maybe aren't approaching. Or maybe you do it on the YouTube side, or you do it offline, something like completely different. So I think a lot of the good ideas are when you can combine things that are, I don't want to say unrelated, but combine ideas and stack them on top of each other so you take advantage of a lot of the pros, hopefully avoid the cons of each one of those. So any other questions? I can't believe we're still rocking on here. 27 people watching, 97 minutes in. I'm almost out of beer here, and I'll refresh one more time. I think I gave us 5 minutes, and that was 9 minutes ago. Just see if there's any more enrollments. I'm actually a little scared if there is. And that's why I tried to work out earlier in the day, because I knew that I'd be probably having a beer while we were chatting here. So everybody have a good weekend out there. Be safe. Get a lot of sleep. We'll see what else. All right, Bonnie. See you later. Justin and the crew. Justin, thanks for keeping order out there in the chat. And everyone else, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you later.